Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Very Reasonable Pilots podcast. I'm your host, Charles. Along with me, as always, is my co-host, editor, producer, co-pilot, gunner, navigator, orator, and podcasting associate, Jacob Gloth. How you doing today, Jacob?
I'm doing swell. Charles, how are you?
I'm good. Are you ready to listen to a brand new idea for a televisual series that will probably never make it to air?
Oh boy, am I, Charlie.
Ooh, this is exciting. It's because I have a televisual series for you to listen to.
I'm very excited. I hope it's better than my one last week.
Your one last week was fine. It was good.
It was okay.
What was it again? What was it called?
You're like, oh, it's good. Oh, you don't remember what it was. Okay, what's your show about? Is it a mystery? Is it
my show?
Let me guess. It's a dark horror mystery set in space.
Okay, I have a bunch of keywords written here, and you got 2 out of the 4 or 5 words written.
Okay.
It's called Poets of Flesh. That's the title.
Now, you told me that last week. I should have remembered that. Damn it.
Poets of Flesh, and the 5 words that are sum it up are horror, black comedy, mystery, and crime. That's what we're doing.
Okay.
So it's a crime thriller, horror situation where there's a mystery happening, and our main characters, who we'll get to in a second, are delving into all different.
Is it set in space? Did I get that right?
No, it's set in a pseudo 1970s New York City. I'm thinking about the setting to be similar to how in Batman the Animated Series they had TVs and cell phones, but everyone drove cars that were from the 30s. You know what I mean? It's kind of
so it's like the 50s, but not
exactly. It's the
50s but 80s. Okay. So we got sort of a Gotham City vibe.
Mm-hmm. It may be it's going to be heavily implied that it's New York City, but it's not ever going to be stated exactly what city it is. We're never going to see the Empire State Building or.
Meanwhile, when the show comes out, the first frame is New York City, 1970.
1970, New York City.
Long shot.
Yeah. That huge block letters, telling you exactly what it is. An Arial
take up the whole
font.
Screen. It's the letters are so big that you actually can't see the shot. You can't even see the whole word. It's just a big Y that takes up the whole screen.
That's a York 19. That's all you see.
Yeah, and you're like, what is this? It's like a period piece? I don't know.
Did the guy do something wrong? Did he fuck up with Adobe or something? Does he not know what's going on here? What's this editor's deal? Don't know nothing. That's right, you don't know nothing.
All right, so we're in New York. What do we, or not New York, but city.
It's a creepy city that has lots of scum and villainy and cowardly, superstitious criminals and gargoyles and such. And basically, we're going to follow our 2 main characters, Lionel Hickam and Vincent Dorado.
Dorado, okay.
Yeah, as they
Vincent.
delve into all sorts of different, parts of this city, all the weird shit that's going on in this city, to solve a mystery. So Lionel is a failed folk musician and busker who is currently operating in a cardboard box. So that's where he lives, and that's he sings on the street. He's very much a Bob Dylan style guy, which is you'll see in a second.
Is he living in the box because he's broke, or is he living in a box because he's what's his name? The philosopher guy.
He's living in his box because maybe he'll say that he's living in his box because he's because of the philosopher guy, but he's living in a box because he's broke and he sucks. And nice. Vincent is a mafia leg breaker / investigator who lives out of a duffel bag and refuses to make connections, even if it would help him do his job. He's very much he won't even go to the same prostitute twice, right? He'll have sex with a prostitute, and then he'll just never talk to her again, and make sure he never speaks to her again. He's not a big fan of connections. He moves from town to town, doing jobs for his mafia bosses, killing people who need killing, breaking legs that need breaking, that sort of a thing. He's kind of a free agent who gets hired by organized crime syndicates across the country.
Does he work for like one? Okay, so he's like a freelancer for all these different mafia people.
Exactly. Like there'll be a certain group that he's connected with, like the Falcone
is he like
family.
insane at this? Is he like John Wick? Like he could kill a room of 40 guys, or is he just like
I would say he's
James
more
Bond figure where he could run away from a room from 40 guys and kill 2 of them.
He could do that. I would say when I was like thinking about him and how he looks, I thought a lot about Russell Crowe in The Nice Guys. You seen The Nice Guys?
So he's a little bit, a little bit of a bruiser, a little heavier,
Yeah, but he's like, he could still kick your ass. But
yeah, he's a bruiser, he'll take you out.
He's not gonna run, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so instead of writing like the basic like Lionel is naive and heartfelt, but also has a world-weary cynicism. Instead of doing that, I've decided to just write down what they have in their pockets, and I'm gonna let you, pick up on what kind of people they are
Extrapolate
from what's in their
gotcha.
pockets. Yeah. So Lionel has a Bob Dylan songbook, a switchblade comb,
in his pocket.
A harmonica?
That's a big thing to have in a pocket.
a songbook, or a switchblade comb. I imagine.
What do you think, Charlie?
I don't know how big your combs are. Well, I was thinking it's
I
like
got fucking massive combs.
People have those like little Bibles, the really small ones that they flip through.
So it's like a little tiny pamphlet sort of thing.
Exactly.
Okay.
And maybe it would be a Walt Whitman, like a book of Walt Whitman poems, but just like some small, thick book that he can put in his front pocket, so he'll get shot and the book will stop the bullet. And also, every episode will be named after like a poem or a song, right? Because I just chose Bob Dylan because I like Bob Dylan. He has a harmonica, a guitar. He doesn't have that in his pocket. He has it around his back. But yeah, an acoustic guitar,
Pocket
hair
guitar.
gel, a bag of tobacco, and rolling papers. That's what he's got in his pocket. But he doesn't have a lighter.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
Not much of a planner, this guy, but he likes to live the
he likes
little bit of a more
bum people.
vice-filled life.
Exactly. But he's vain, but he's not, stupid. And he's got a bit of a poet's heart, but also he's a little bit like a sleazy. He's living on the streets.
All right, so you're the first guy. Who's the second guy?
Vincent. Yeah, I'm this guy. I'm the homeless.
Yeah, very much.
That's fine. And you can be Vincent.
I don't want to be Vincent.
No, you got to be Vincent. You got to put on 60 pounds of fat / muscle. So, in Vincent's pockets, he has brass knuckles, a snub-nosed revolver, a little case for his heroin stuff, because he's a heroin addict.
Okay.
But it's like a Vincent Vega-style heroin addict, Like
So he's got it under control.
He's under control. Yeah, exactly. He's like...
As much as you can, I guess.
Exactly. He has a heroin addiction. If he doesn't get it for a few days, he's like, a day or so, he gets like fucked up. But, he still has a job that he does. And is
he's a functioning heroin addict. As there are functioning alcoholics, there's functioning
Exactly.
heroin addicts.
So he's got his heroin addict stuff. He's got a pack of cigarettes, a lighter, a picture of his dead wife or daughter, or both, depends on how we're feeling, a Bowie knife, and gum. So he has a lot of weapons on him. He's got 3 deadly weapons on his person pretty much all the time. And it's like, that's kind of sums him up pretty well. He's just like, he's ready to kick some ass at all times of the day. And so here's the premise of the show. So prostitutes and homeless people keep showing up dead, drained of all fluid. One of whom is the son of a powerful oil magnate who hires Vincent to figure out what happened to him. So that's how we start the show. As Vincent arrives in the city, he, plops his bag down, he gets a hotel room at like some shitty hotel, as you do back in the 70s. And he he starts doing a little investigating. Gets around town, asks around. People, maybe they don't recognize his face, but when he's like, I'm Vincent, I work for Mr. Whatever. Mr. Daddario, let's say. People, like, get freaked out. They get scared. They tell him what he wants to know. And we just follow Vincent as he's walking around the city. He's meeting people. He's, talking with people. Maybe he has to break a few noses at some point. We can do a fun thing where getting a hot dog. He goes into a bar. He starts talking to this guy. The guy's giving him guff. He does what Russell Crowe does in Nice Guys. He yanks his tie down, breaks his nose on the bar. He's like, now you want to tell me what's going on? Right? Maybe we see him score, right? A bit of heroin, a bit of horse, right? And he is able to figure out that the last person who saw this young man before he wound up dead was this homeless busker who's living out of a cardboard box. And so he goes and he confronts this busker, and it is our man, Lionel. And Lionel is he's singing, he's strumming on his guitar. Maybe his guitar's got 4 strings instead of 6 because he can't afford to buy new strings or something like that.
Yeah.
And so that's how they meet. And at first, Vincent is not the nicest guy in the world. Like, he, snaps another one of the strings because the guy doesn't want to, because Lionel doesn't really want to talk to him or doesn't know what he's talking about, right? He, like, fucks up his cardboard box where he's sleeping.
Yeah.
But they decide that because Lionel tells him, like, I know where this guy was. I know the places he frequented because he was a regular on this street, and I keep an eye on everybody who's on this street. I'll tell you if you let me help with this investigation, right? You hire me, you subcontract this to me, and so we work together, partners. And we'll do a 70-30 split your way, right? I get 30%, I get a nice little profit. Maybe you put me up in a room, something like that. So he's trying to, he's a hustler. He's trying to get his,
he's trying to get some out of
way.
this.
Yeah, which is very reasonable. And so after a little bit of deliberation, Vincent decides, fine, whatever. You can...
Yeah, you could have the whole, like, he says no at first.
Yeah.
He chases him.
Chases him down. I'll find it on my own.
Beats him up a little bit, too. Mm-hmm. Because he's like, get off me, you weirdo.
You lunatic. Right, he hits him.
Struggles with the investigation and has to go back. He's like, all right, come on.
And then maybe we could do something where he, like, quotes a Bob Dylan song to him. Like, he's like, what are you doing, man? And what's wrong with you lunatic? And then Lionel says, like, I'm just a rolling stone, or something like that.
And maybe something less obvious. We got to pick a very...
Exactly.
I don't want it to be... You probably don't want it to be a little campy, right? Mm-hmm. I assume. So you've got to pick something from, like, very obscure.
Yeah, the sun's not yellow. It's chicken. Right? Or something like that. Like, there's so many Bob Dylan lyrics. We could sit here for hours trying to, like, pick one that would work. So he quotes, like, a Bob Dylan song, and maybe that makes Vincent laugh. He says, fine. You can sleep on the floor or the couch in my hotel room. And when this is over, we'll do a split, like you said, 70-30 my way.
Yeah.
And so Lionel is ecstatic, and he's like, we'll do this thing and we'll figure it out tomorrow. But tonight we eat and celebrate. And Lionel is thinking that Vincent is going to, like, pay, like, he for some reason he thinks that this mob enforcer has, like, a ton of money because he's, like, this big city mob guy. He's got all the money in the world. He could spend it, on whatever. So he thinks they're gonna have a big dinner, but they end up getting just, like, the worst Chinese food in the city. And Vincent's fine. I imagine Vincent's kind of like, he's kind of got a Punisher vibe. And, like, he'll just eat anything, and he doesn't complain about it. Like, he'll eat cold beans out of a can, like fucking Rorschach. And he's just like, it's just fuel. Whereas Lionel hasn't had a good meal or a hot meal in months. And so he's like, maybe, like, he'll get some good food. And then he gets some shitty Chinese food, and he's just kind of disappointed. And that's how we end the first episode, with them sitting in their apartment. Lionel is rolling his cigarette while Vincent's just taking one out of his pack. Maybe they have like some sort of Tarantino-esque conversation about the benefits and drawbacks to rolling your own cigarette versus buying just packs, that sort of thing. And we zoom out, out of the window, and we see the light up. That the light of their window is, illuminates the street, and then we zoom back further and further, and that's the end of the episode, right?
Yeah.
Episode 2 is where it starts to get a little weird. Because so far, the episode 1's been pretty standard thus far. Episode 2 is the beginning of the oddness. So they decide they've had their, sleep. Lionel's stomach is full and he's well rested. So he's like, okay, your man, Jeffrey Daddario, frequented this club, right? He was there all the time. And I saw him going in with this woman every single time. And she would leave and he would still be there, right? Like, he always went with this same woman and he never left with her, right? What's that about? Let's go find out.
Yeah,
so they get into the club.
Was it Alexandra Daddario? You got the same name as the actress.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, we can cast her.
Yeah, that'd be weird.
That would be weird. But also, good. I think that'd be fun. But they get in there, they, start asking questions, and people are, like, giving them looks. No one maybe they recognize Lionel from the street, right? But nobody knows these two. They're kind of wild cards, so no one's really, like, trusting them with any sort of information. But our man, Vincent, notices they all have the same tattoo. Like, maybe it's just like this small little thing on the inside of their wrist, right? And so they're like, okay, this is a group of some kind. So he starts, like, getting a little bit more irritable, let's say. Like, he starts maybe smashing a bottle or a pool cue over somebody's face, because he's 100% like, I could kick everyone in this room's ass. Because it's all just a bunch of drugged up club goers, and maybe Vincent's like an ex-military sort of a guy. Maybe he's a Mike Ehrmantraut style figure. Where he doesn't look like much, but then he's getting into a scrap and he's kicking everybody's ass, right? So maybe he just starts threatening people. He mentions the name, of the man, the Daddario clan. Like, he mentions that, and people, like, hush up. Everyone walks away from him. The bartender, like, tells them, like, hey, don't be causing any trouble around here. And Vincent's like, oh, well, you tell me what we want to know, there won't be no trouble. But you keep treating me like I'm a moron, there might be some trouble headed your way. That sort of thing. And so the bartender finally caves. He takes them into the back, right? And it is revealed that this club is, while it is a functioning and fully legal club, there is a secretive cult that operates out of this club. The cult of the secret nudists.
Oh. Okay.
So the thing about the secret nudists is that they all wear clothes, but they still consider themselves to be nudists. They're just nudists in hiding. And our man
very
was
strange.
Very strange. So it's like a whole thing of Lionel just pointing out the flawed logic of, you're a nudist, but you're fully clothed. It's like, yeah, I'm Commando. It's like, I'm Commando. That doesn't make me a nudist. No, I'm a nudist because I have a tattoo. I got the thing. What? That doesn't... Being a nudist means that you're nude. You're not nude. You're just a guy with a tattoo. What are you talking about? Like, it's a whole thing. He's starting to piss him off. But they realize that pretty shortly after finding out that this is the club of the secret nudists, they're invited to the king of the nudists, the head of the cult, because they're asking questions, and maybe the young kid Daddario was he was a member. He was going to become a member, and he has a lot of money, and so a member with a lot of disposable income is good for the cult. And so the king of the nudists, who is the only one who's actually nude, like he's naked, everyone else is fully clothed, but they're all still nudists.
Same.
Yeah. Bro, I'm glad that we both do this podcast completely naked.
Well, we're right next to each other in the space station, remember, Charles?
Yeah.
So.
Exactly. We just look we look at separate walls. Mm-hmm. We got our backs to one another. Completely naked, just for our own amusement. They realize that this cult is not responsible for the murders, right? They're weirdos, they're creeps, and they're all naked on the inside, but not on the outside. But they're not murderers, and especially because they had really no reason to kill this kid. He was their, newest member. He was gonna give them a lot of money. He might have even been able to, like, get them more members, maybe in the public eye a little bit more in a good way rather than in a negative cult way. And so they're kind of bummed. This is a bit of a dead end. But while they're at the club, they are able to see this very famous music producer. And he's very famous, and he's known for having a lot of strange dealings. Like, he's a weird dude, and weird shit goes on at his house and his place. And maybe they talk to one of the bartenders, and they hear the Dario kid spent tons of time with Harold Zimmer, the music producer. And so they decide tomorrow they're gonna go down, track down Mr. Zimmer, and have a little conversation with him. End of episode 2. Episode 3. Music producer Harold Zimmer, they go to his office, they think, oh, this is gonna be, real, pain. How are we gonna get in? Blah, blah, blah. This isn't gonna work. And they immediately get buzzed in, right? And they're like, huh, that's strange. And apparently Harold Zimmer, he has some questions about these murders as well. And he knows about, what do you call him? He knows about Vincent. He maybe he's had conversations with Dario Sr. And so he knows Vincent, what he's about. Maybe he's had dealings with him in the past. Not Vincent specifically, but his crime family in the past. And so he's like, okay, I'll have a conversation with you guys. Because this kid, he was a friend of mine. Now he's dead. I want to know why. That's the cover story. And so they go up, they have a conversation with them. It's odd. Harold Zimmer, he's got all sorts of, naked sculptures all in his office and stuff. It's very much like in The Big Lebowski when the dude goes and meets that, the porn dude. You remember that? The porn, director or whatever? And there's just, ladies in trampolines jumping, or ladies naked on trampolines. All that. And that's what his office is like. It's just this debaucherous, den. And they go in, they have a conversation with him. They're a little bit on edge, but Harold Zimmer calms them down. He's able to, alleviate some of their worries. And they are like, all right, cool. We have a lead, right? Harold Zimmer is able to give them Dario's most frequented locations, anyone that might have a problem with him, that sort of thing. And so they're happy. And as they're leaving the office, they get chloroformed, knocked out by some security men. It's very scary. They wake up in these cages surrounded by other people. And they don't know what's going on. They're trying to figure out what's going on. Nobody knows why they're here. They all went...
Are they naked?
No, everybody's fully clothed still. But everyone's had their pockets removed, everything from their pockets taken. Excuse me.
No, they're identifying things.
Yeah, so they don't have any knives or guns or cigarettes or anything. Or heroin. And so they are, they wake up and they're trying to figure out, there are these cages, there are dozens of other people, they're all equally, odd, they're unhappy, and then they, a big screen comes up and it's Harold Zimmer, but oh, hello, thank you folks for volunteering, whether on purpose or by accident, to be a part of tonight's little game, our entertainment for the evening. In approximately 15 minutes, your cages will be unlocked, and you will have 10 minutes to Run, hide, cry, scream. We don't really care. Because after that 10 minutes is up, we are going to hunt you. It's the most dangerous game. We're doing the most dangerous game.
The most dangerous game.
It's this huge labyrinth that's built underneath of the offices, the music production offices. There's this huge labyrinthian complex. And so Harold Zimmer organizes these hunts for the rich and powerful people of the city to come, and to have fun and kill people. You know, you can do with the people whatever you want. If you capture them, you can take them home with you, right? Keep them, you own them, right? It's a very much a slavery thing. And that's the end of the episode. Episode 4, our men, Lionel and Vincent, are running through the thing. It's in medias res. They're sweating, they're running through the labyrinth. We hear gunshots and people screaming in the background, but they're just running, booking it down this you know, that sort of thing. Exactly, that sort of thing. And Vincent is starting to feel a little bit worse for wear, because he's not had any of his heroin, and he's really fiending for some heroin. And so Lionel's kind of has to step it up, right? Because Vincent's not feeling great. Maybe he's throwing up, he's got the shakes, you know, that sort of stuff. And so Lionel's kind of got to be the burly one for this one.
Lionel probably thinks first, he's like, damn, you are out of shape, dude.
Yeah, what the hell? I know that I don't like running either, but Jesus Christ. And maybe he passes out and he pulls him up and has to roll his sleeves back for whatever reason. He sees all the needle holes in his arm. He's like, oh, okay, he's a junkie. My partner's a junkie. God damn. Right, yeah. So that's basically what the episode is Lionel carrying Vincent, not physically, but carrying him through this rich people hunting ground. And right, we see bodies, we see skeletons, maybe we see a few people who have survived the hunts and they're just stuck down there in the labyrinth. And so they've kind of devolved into these weird husks of humanity, you know, all cannibalistic and crazy and weird, rat people, you know, that sort of thing. And you know, it's just a good old fashioned adventure time where they're getting through the show, with Jake the dog and Finn the human. They're getting through, they're fighting people. Maybe they get a gun, they're able to corner one of the, going to very special land, isn't that?
Very distant lands.
Doesn't matter.
Very distant lands.
Very distant land. That's what it is. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen Adventure Time in a very long time. I didn't even watch it that much when I was a kid.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you should be. I was a Powerpuff Girls guy. That's what I was about.
It's pretty lame.
Nah, Powerpuff Girls are fucking rad. But back to this show that has no Powerpuff Girls or magic dogs. So that's pretty much this whole episode, is just them going through. It's more of an action sequence than anything else, an action sequence long episode. That's just them running through. Maybe they get cornered by one of the hunters, and Vincent is able to summon his last piece of strength up and knock the guy to the ground. They take his gun and blow his brains out. Lionel has to carry the gun. They're running through. They've got to escape, you know, all this sort of stuff. And they eventually make it to the end, and Harold Zimmer's like, well, good on you guys for making it this far. Only a few other people have been able to do that, but I gotta kill you. It's not like I can let you go or anything. That's ridiculous. And nobody will miss some chunky leg breaker and a homeless musician, whatever. And so they're like, oh, so you're the one who's killing all these prostitutes and homeless people. And Harold Zimmer's like, no. I mean, no, I want to know who is doing it, but that's why I hired some real private investigators to find out, because they're really cutting into the available people we have for the games. So I gotta figure it out. And they're like, shit. we thought we solved the mystery, but we've not solved them. It's only episode 3, or episode 4. What are we gonna do? And so they get it. They knock Harold out, right? Maybe Lionel's able to hit him with the butt of his gun or blow his kneecap off or something. And they're able to make it up to the control room. They let all the cages go. They open up all the things, let all the people out of the labyrinth. It's good stuff. They're very happy. They get the all their stuff back, and Vincent just goes in the bathroom and shoots up real quick, and Lionel's just like, oh, god damn. Okay, fine. If that's what you need to do to stay level while we're solving this case, that's okay, but keep it to your fucking self and keep it under control. Vincent's like, yeah, sorry, man, sorry. I'm sorry. Right? We get the classic, scene of somebody taking drugs. They shoot up, and then we get a fisheye lens on their face as they lean back. It's like, that whole thing, very Train Spotting-esque. And then that's the end of episode 4, is they escape the rich, horrible, the horrible rich person's labyrinth, and they, get back on the street, and they go to sleep in their apartment. And so episode...
It'd be pretty cool if you had, like, a nice... Like, you remember the first scene where he shoots up? You had in the first episode?
Mm-hmm.
It'd be kind of cool if maybe that scene, like, it seems like it's very sort of luxurious. Like, he goes to, like, some, like, lounge, or like a hookah lounge where you can shoot up in, like, a nice comfy area where, you can hang out, and it's all very chill, and it seems very, like, high class. And then here you have him just, like, in a dirty bathroom.
In a dirty bathroom somewhere.
Doing it because he needs it.
There's a rat scuttling across the thing, and he's just like, yeah, exactly. That's good. That's a good juxtaposition. I like it. Goes to, like, a cool drug den. It's got, like, nice music and comfy chairs, and maybe there's, like, waitresses walking around with food or something. I don't know. I've never been to a drug den.
Yeah, because then you can have it in his head. Like, in his head, he sort of sees it as that, like a oh, this isn't an addiction. This is like a hobby. But it is an addiction.
It's an addiction. It's really bad. We'll show in this episode. It's in the Labyrinth episode. He's not having a good time without it. And so, yeah, that's the end of episode 4. Episode 5, they're out of leads. They're out of time. They're really just like sitting in a bar, drinking, being like, this sucks, man. We don't know what's going on. We don't know what we're gonna do. Whatever. And so they decide, hey, how about, crazy idea, we will have Lionel pretend to be homeless again, because he's got the most experience as being a homeless man. So we'll have Lionel pretend to be homeless in the areas where these murders keep happening, and Vincent will be out in the corner, and he'll be, like, keeping an eye on him. Or whatever. And so we'll, catch the killer. So they do that for a day, nothing happens. They do it for another day, nothing happens. Day 3, they get approached by this very strange, mysterious man in a big overcoat. Hat. You can't really make out any of his features. And he pulls out a gun. But just as he does that, then Vincent, is coming around the corner to pull Lionel's ass out of the fire. But before Vincent's able to make it there, the Red Vulture, a superhero, dives in and saves Lionel from the would-be killer. He knocks the gun out of his hand, and the killer runs away. But and Lionel or the Red Vulture turns around and he's like, "You're welcome, friend. I've done you a service, and I hope you have a good day, citizen." All that sort of self-aggrandizing superhero nonsense. And as he's talking, Vincent runs up with he runs up with brass knuckles and just hits him right in the face, and he falls immediately. He just goes right down to the ground and cracks his skull open and dies. And so Vincent and Lionel accidentally kill this superhero that's in the city. And then this episode is just them the whole episode is them trying to figure out what to do with his body, and they're putting it in dumpsters, and cops keep running into him, or they throw it in they're oh, we'll just pretend he's drunk and put him in a thing, and then like street cleaners come by and they're like, hey buddy, they expect the street cleaners to be really crass and not give a shit if there's somebody drunk, but then they're like, oh no, it's fine, we got you, we'll take care of them. If you just we'll take them home. They're really caring and stuff. They have to take off his stupid superhero costume because his costume's got to be stupid. Like it shouldn't be cool at all. I'm thinking of this like bright red suit and these huge clunky metal wings that don't actually work, and like a motorcycle helmet and like
the gold
kind of like
boots.
Exactly. And he's just like this big fucking nerd dork idiot. And so, and they like have to take all of his costumes off. And they bring him back to his apartment, and they're like, they get in, it's just like protein shakes, weights, and like Batman comics. He's one of those guys, one of those weightlifting nerds that I really don't like. I say nerds, stay away from weights. Stay away from the gym, nerds. That's what I say.
Okay. Interesting.
I think it's weird. I think you pick one thing. You either are athletic or you're a nerd. You don't get both. So what happens when you get both? It's weird that
you're drawing this line here, but okay.
Andrew Tate. That's what happens when you get both. I've thought this for forever. I don't know why, but I just am like, stay away.
I think this is an excuse so you don't have to go to the gym. All right, so what do you got next?
Yeah. Oh yeah, they they go to his apartment. He's got just weights and superhero comics and all this shit, and they're like, ugh, the dork, right? Whatever. But turns out he's not actually all the way dead, and so he like, oh what? And like Vincent gets freaked out and hits him again with the brass knuckles, and this time he's dead. Like they just kill him a second time, and he's like dead. And so they're like. Maybe they prop him up on a windowsill. They've put him back in his costume because they're like, well, I figure he'll die, in the costume. That makes more sense. Whatever. Maybe they're reading his diary, and it's really, really depressing stuff. And then he talks about how, like, if he were gonna die in uniform, that would be, the greatest honor of his life and all this stuff. And they, put him up in his costume. And they prop him outside, prop him on the windowsill while they like. Talk about what they're gonna do, and we'll have in the foreground of the shot Vincent and Lionel arguing, and in the background we'll have the body slumped on the windowsill, and just slowly as they're talking the body will fall at the windowsill, and it's just like this is a slapstick comedy moment of like slapping, he hits the railings, he hits the fire escape, then he smashes into a car, and they're both like, well, I guess that takes care of that. It just looks like he fell off out of the window. That's fine. All right, let's leave. And they just leave, yeah. They wash their hands of it. And that's the end of episode 5. Episode 6. They're very much out of leads. They have no clue. Turns out everything Harold Zimmer had told them was a lie. And so they have literally no clue what to do next. And these people keep dying. It's not like the deaths stop happening. Like there's still prostitutes and homeless people who keep like showing up in dumpsters and in alleyways, drained of all of their fluid. And it's 70s New York-ish homeless people and prostitutes, so the cops aren't doing anything about it. And so they're just like, oh, this sucks, we're so done. And Lionel has one final idea. He can think of one final person or group that may be able to give them something. The underdwellers. So in this city, there is a whole civilization of people who live underground in the abandoned train, like railways and stuff. There's just like a whole civilization of people, and there's all, it's this crazy underground subterranean thing. And I kind of created the subterranean civilization simply because I want to have an episode named Subterranean Homesick Blues, because that's a Bob Dylan song.
Oh my god.
So I need to have a reason to get them down underground. And so they go down there, and maybe there's like some conflicts that they'll finish up. I'm imagining that this civilization's very similar to like in the Metro video games and the book series. Like there's all those people and they just live underground, you know, but obviously for very different reasons. And it's sort of it's a guy in John Wick. What's the king of the homeless people called in John Wick? Or what's his name? The actor? Lawrence Fishburne.
King of the okay.
Yeah, Lawrence Fishburne style, you know. They have a leader. He's very Lawrence Fishburne in John Wick-esque, and he's, you know, this big boisterous dude, but they're all also kind of crazy. Like the whole civilization's kind of crazy. And so the leader, after Lionel and Vincent accomplish some goal for him, you know, we can think of something for them to do. Maybe it's like go, you know, intimidate this man, or go find like evidence for this, or whatever, back on the surface. Because, you know, maybe it's some sort of a, like, get us the updated train lines from the, you know, metro station, right? So we can, you know, know where to expand.
Yeah, we don't have the schedule. You need to go find us the bus schedule, the metro schedule.
Come on, we need the bus schedule. Because, yeah, and they're like, we can't go up. It's scary up there, and our eyes are not adjusted for the outside world. Go up at night. No. Shut up. Listen, you want my help or not? Fine, we'll go get you the map of the trains or whatever. I don't believe you do not have access. Whatever. Doesn't matter. We'll do it. So they go up, they get the thing. There's probably some sort of violence involved, you know. Vincent usually doing the violence, maybe he threatens somebody with a Bowie knife. He finally takes his Bowie knife out and he like puts it in the guy's mouth. And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna cut your fucking face off unless you give me the map of the trains. And they're like, what? There's map? What? Just do it. All right. He gives them the map. So they go back down, and the king of the underdwellers tells them that angels are taking these people and they're killing them and they're draining them of all their fluids. These ethereal beings are coming from above and stealing away these people, and then returning them once they have enough info, right? And so both our boys are like, well, that's fucking stupid. This guy's crazy, and that doesn't make any sense. And so they're like, oh, this is just a big waste of time, and they leave, but they, you know, don't get an escort out. They're like, we'll find our own way out. Blah, 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 blah. End of episode 6. End of episode 7 is the bottle episode, because we'll probably be running out of money at this point in the series, and so we'll need, you know...
That's good you planned for that.
Some way to keep costs down, so we'll just have it be that they get trapped in a underground, like a train car, that like it, you know, the tunnel collapses or whatever, and they get trapped there. And so that's when we have like... They'll break down their pasts and their histories or whatever, you know, they'll talk about both their tragic backstories of Vincent's wife and daughter died, and that's why he started using, or maybe he was using and that's why they died, is because he, you know, wasn't, you know, cogent.
I had an idea for that when you mentioned the photo.
Oh, thing. Yeah, what?
Because I feel like there's always a dead wife or a dead daughter, you know? So when you said that, I thought of an idea, which was... the picture is his biological mother that he has, like, and we'll say that he, you know, she put him up for adoption when he was young. He grew up with a foster family, or like, you know, he bouncing from foster home to foster home, and when he was old enough, he went to go find her, and she had died, and all he could get was a photo of her.
That's good.
And so he's like carrying around like the memory of like what she could have been. You know, and maybe throughout the series he's always talking about like, oh, my mom liked this, my mom liked that. He really has no idea what his mom liked or did anything. Yeah, just sort of, it's like a fantasy in his head. Oh, that's good. I like that a lot, because you're right. It is. There are a lot of dead daughters and wives and such. So yeah, you're right. That's. We're gonna have a dead mom. Is what we. Dead moms. Everybody's got a dead mom. It's different, you know. It's a little different than a dead wife. A little different. Dead woman. It's a little bit different than any other kind of dead woman. But yeah, and then we talk about Lionel and how he grew up in a small bodunk town in Minnesota. Maybe his family was abusive or like ignored abuse that was happening to him, so he found solace in the music of one Bob Dylan.
And then he taught himself how to play the guitar and taught himself how to play the harmonica and decided to go to the big city, try and make his dreams come true. And they didn't. But Lionel is also like a fair bit.
You know, it'd be great if it was like the same story as Bob Dylan. Like he grew up in like fucking.
That's good.
Michigan, was it?
I think it was Michigan.
Indiana? I don't remember.
Yeah.
One of the two. And then like takes a train over to New York, but like that's not really what Bob Dylan did. But like the fantasy of what Bob Dylan did.
Yeah.
You know, rode a train over, starts trying to play it like you know, underground clubs and stuff, and it just does not go well. They never even let him play once at any of these places.
Yeah, and maybe he's like, oh, I'll get, you know, in with the beatniks. Like, I'm a beatnik style guy, so I'll get in with the beatniks, but all the beatniks are like these college yuppies situation. He's just this poor kid from the middle of nowhere. And so they come up with all these reasons that he's bad, but really it's just like, we don't want to hang out with you, you're a poor idiot, right? Oh, your work is so, you know, what's that word? I'm trying to think of the word. It's like you take from other things. Derivative. Your work is so derivative. You know, you really are pathetic. I feel bad for you. I really do. But get the hell out. And so his dreams fall apart. People he thought were his friends betrayed him to go hang out with the yuppies, and so he ends up just on the street begging for change, singing his songs. But Lionel's also like a fair bit younger than Vincent, and so Lionel will be like, you know, Vincent will be like, you can learn from this. You know, this isn't the end. I know it feels like it, but you're only 22. You're only like 16 or whatever. So you got your whole life ahead of me. Me, I wasted this junk. You know, he throws the heroin jar. It's not a jar. Like the little case, he keeps it and he throws it against the wall. Then picks it up again because he's a heroin addict.
Yeah, he's not gonna let that go.
But yeah, we get the whole thing and they start to like bond and such, and then they get saved. They're rescued by whom, you may ask? Was it the homeless people? Was it the secret underground people? No, it was the cult of the nudists. They've been keeping an eye on them because, you know, they now know their secret, and they felt very strong nudist energy coming from Lionel. Lionel emitted a very strong nudist vibe, and so they've been keeping an eye on him, and when they went missing down in the tunnels, they sent someone down to get them.
I can sense it.
But also because the tunnels are not, you know, subject to decency laws, they're all naked. So all these people that you saw fully clothed at the club
are completely buck naked.
Completely naked, and they keep stepping on like nails and pieces of broken glass, and they're like, maybe shoes would have been a good idea. Too bad, you're a nudist. Get over it. And yeah, and they get up, and now their only lead is a lunatic who said that it came from that the angels, you know, brought these people and killed them. So they really don't know what to do. End of episode 7. Final episode 8. If you could guess what you think the twist ending is.
Okay, so we've had nudists, we've had mobsters, and we've got underground people. Mm-hmm. I don't think the underground people did it.
I don't think so either.
Well, you would know who did it, so it doesn't really matter what you think. You know the answer.
Yeah.
I don't think it was the nudists. They seem pretty chill. So it either has to be the mobsters or real angels.
Close.
So I'm gonna go with. So it's neither, is what you're saying?
Yeah, it's neither.
Okay. What is it?
So they are approached by the mysterious man that was gonna kill Lionel before the Red Vulture stopped them. They're approached once again by him. And before they are able to react or anything, they find themselves awoken in a strange sort of operating room. They're both strapped to tables, and standing above them are crazy, weird-looking aliens. It was aliens that were doing it.
Are you serious? It's sort of the same thing as angels.
Yeah, exactly. Though that's the thing. They're strange ethereal creatures that came from on high, and they've been kidnapping people to, run their experiments, and they're, very interested in human biology because these are lithium-based life forms. They're not, carbon-based. And so their whole, like, body is completely different. So they're like, maybe each body is... I had this idea, I didn't write it down, I should have, but maybe each of the bodies that they find is missing a different part of the human, like, anatomy. Like, there's one body that they find that's missing the entirety of the circulatory system. There's another body that's found that has no nervous system. Like, just like when you go to a museum and you're like, and they show you the thing like, this is the brain, and it's like eyeballs connected to the brain, connected to the spine, and that's all you see. It's that, but they actually like went into people and took all the stuff out, And so we're gonna get a whole thing. It's gonna be a whole explanation as to why they did it. They're interested in human beings, and they're a benevolent race, right? These aren't like bad people. They're not people, they're aliens, but they're not like bad guys. They're interested in humanity and interested in disease, and so they're kidnapping all these people and dissecting them in order to like discover what diseases they have and what they can cure. So maybe each of the people that was killed had like some sort of a disease, and that's a connection that they had.
Yeah.
And so the thing is, and like Vincent and Lionel are like, okay, so you're gonna kill us, and they're like, no, well, we're not going to kill you directly, but we are interested in a new disease that we've come across among humans, and that would be addiction, right? So that's the disease they're trying to cure with Vincent, and they haven't been able to get Vincent away from Lionel, so they just took both of them. And they're like, maybe they're like, we're trying to understand addiction and delusion, because Lionel's delusional in that he's going to be this huge successful singer-songwriter, and Vincent's an addict. And so that's what they're doing, and we have this big long monologue coming from Vincent about like the throes of addiction and how he doesn't like heroin, he doesn't want to do it, but it's he has to. If he doesn't, it feels like every piece of him is screaming out in horrific, agonizing pain and all this stuff. And the aliens are kind of like horrified by his explanation. They're like, oh Lord, we do not envy you, carbon-based life forms. We exist on a separate plane. You and I, our lives are different. Our thoughts are different. That whole thing. And they get let go, and the aliens leave. And Vincent and Lionel are just stuck there, standing in the middle of the street, in the middle of the night, absolutely, profoundly dazed and, like, fucked up. And they're like, oh man, that was crazy. Do you need a drink? Hell yeah, I do. And then they go into a bar, and that's the end of the series.
Oh.
Yeah. But I'm thinking Lionel and Vincent could come back in another adventure, solve a new mystery. But that's my show, Poets of Flesh, because each body tells a story.
Oh.
Yeah.
Look at you, and there's nude people.
And there's nakeds everywhere, and weird, crazy underground people, and superheroes.
Yeah. Very cool. I liked it, Charlie. Very, very fun.
Thank you. I tried so hard. I wrote the...
Didn't see the aliens coming. Did not see.
Yeah. That's what I'm here to do. I'm here to fuck with your melon. Change things around. But yeah, I knew that I wanted the show to have like a crazy ending that you could never predict in a million years, and I knew I wanted to have like crazy weird stuff going on. But I didn't see the aliens coming either. Really.
Yeah, because you just made it up now. There was a whole another ending that you had. You were just like, fuck you, Jake, I'm gonna change it.
Yeah.
Because you heard when I said the mobsters, and I was gonna go with the mobsters did it. And you're like, fuck it, I'll change the whole thing right now.
Fuck it to aliens. And also Vincent and Lionel are gonna start kissing at the end.
You're like, yep, there was sexual tension the whole time. You didn't see it, but it was there, and now it's It's fulfilled.
Now it's gone.
So be happy about it.
Be happy about the big smooching.
Yeah. We're like, I didn't know they liked each other at all.
I didn't know either of them were
I thought
gay.
They didn't like each other.
Yeah.
Big surprise. Boom.
Bam.
Gotcha.
But yeah. That's my show, Poets of Flesh. Thank you.
And then Daenerys Targaryen goes insane for no reason.
No reason at all. And
Burns
then
the
we
city
use.
down.
How about this? And we use AI to make the title sequences.
Oh, yeah. I fucking skipped that on Secret Wars.
Good.
Or Secret Invasion.
Good.
It's not very good, actually. It's actually bad.
It doesn't look
not
good.
very
Like,
good.
I've seen AI art that is much better than the stuff they used for that. I don't understand.
It looks bad. It does not look good enough for, like, a big TV show like that.
Yeah. Maybe they'll change it. That's something worse. That would be good. They just made something much worse than that.
Yeah, they let us make it.
Yeah, let us do
Very
it.
shittily animate it. Or we do it live action, even worse.
We get Nick Fury action figures and Skrull action figures, and we make them fight.
It'd probably be better than the current title sequence if we did that.
Yeah, it might be. All right, well, thank you everyone for listening to the Very Reasonable Pilots podcast. I've been your host, Charles. Along with me, as always, has been my co-host, editor, producer, co-pilot, gunner, navigator, orator, and podcasting associate, Jake Gloth. You like what you heard here and you want to hear more, please give us a like, a follow, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your dog, tell your cat. And remember, next week we will be here with a brand new televisual series that we will come up right off the dome.
Woo!
Yeah.
Very exciting.
Episode 160, episode 160, baby.
160. Very exciting.
Very exciting.
All right. Goodbye.
Goodbye.